Every woman can spot the difference between a man who's in control and a man who's pretending to be. One makes her feel safe, the other keeps her on edge. It's not about how loud you are, how tough you act, or how many people you impress. It's about how you carry yourself when pressure hits, because real attraction isn't built in easy moments, it's revealed in the chaos. And the man who can stay calm in the storm, he's the one she never forgets. Let me be honest with you, there's a difference between a man she talks to and a man she fantasizes about. And no, it's not about money or looks or muscles. It's about energy, presence, skill. There are certain men who don't even have to touch her. One glance, one sentence, one simple move, and suddenly she's undressing him in her mind. Why? Because he knows the 6 skills that don't just attract a woman, they awaken her. Let's break them down. 1. The art of silent confidence. You don't have to prove anything. You walk into a room like you belong there, not because you're loud, but because you're sure. A man who's secure in his skin doesn't need to dominate the room. He lets the room respond to his calm, controlled energy. And trust me, women notice. 2. Conversational seduction. You know how to speak without trying too hard. You ask questions that go deeper than "how was your day?" You make her feel seen. Heard, touched emotionally, because the right words, said the right way, can slip under her skin faster than any touch. 3. Sensual awareness. You're not clumsy, you're intentional, from the way you hold your glass to the way you sit, breathe, or even look at her. It's calculated, but never forced. You understand timing. You read the room, and you know that sometimes tension is more powerful than release. 4. Emotional control. You don't crumble under pressure. You don't overreact, over-explain, or overshare. You hold your ground. That level of restraint, that control is deeply attractive, because if you can handle yourself, she starts to believe you can handle her. 5. Physical presence. It's not about abs or height. It's about posture, how you carry yourself, your scent, your grooming, the details. A man who takes care of his body doesn't need to say a word. His presence seduces before he even speaks. 6. Sexual intelligence. This is not about performance. It's about connection. You don't rush. You read her breath, her body language, her silence. You know when to pull back, when to lean in, when to pause. You understand that foreplay doesn't start in the bedroom, it starts with energy. The moment she feels you, before she ever touches you, that's where it begins. You don't have to prove anything. That's the thing most men don't realize. Real attraction doesn't come from noise. It comes from presence. A man who walks into a room and commands attention without saying a word has already won half the game. Confidence is not the same as arrogance. It's not about puffing your chest or showing off what you have. It's about being so grounded in who you are that validation from others becomes irrelevant. That kind of energy is magnetic. Women feel it immediately. There's a stillness about you, a quiet power that says, "I know who I am. I don't need to convince you." It's the way you make eye contact, not in a creepy or aggressive way, but intentional, slow, and steady. It's the way you stand, not fidgeting, not shifting uncomfortably, but rooted, solid. The man who exudes silent confidence is never in a hurry to be seen, yet somehow everyone sees him. You don't have to chase attention. It comes to you because your energy pulls people in without effort. That's the beauty of masculine stillness. You let the room come to you. You don't force reactions. You allow curiosity to build. You give her space to notice you, to wonder who you are, to fill in the blanks. There's something irresistibly sexy about a man who doesn't talk too much but says everything with his energy. The way you walk, measured, unbothered, the way you sit, relaxed but upright. There's nothing frantic about you. Your presence says, "I'm not here to entertain. I'm here because I choose to be." That's intoxicating to a woman, especially in a world full of men trying too hard, being too loud, doing too much just to impress. You stand out because you don't need to try. You're not performing. You're just being, and that being has a weight to it, a pull, and women notice everything. The slight smirk you give when you're amused. The way you keep your phone face down, giving her your full attention. The way you speak when you finally do. Low, controlled, measured, not rushed, not anxious to fill the silence. You let moments breathe. You don't interrupt her thoughts, you don't finish her sentences, you let her unfold at her own pace, and that patience, that restraint, it tells her something. It tells her you're comfortable with stillness, with yourself with her, and that's rare, because most men panic in silence. Most men overtalk, overshare, overcompensate, but not you. You've mastered the art of restraint. You know that space creates desire. And when you carry yourself like that, unapologetically, confidently, it makes her wonder. She leans in, she studies you, she wants to understand what makes you so grounded, what makes you so unaffected by the noise around you. She'll want to uncover the layers, explore the depth, because deep down every woman wants to feel the energy of a man who doesn't flinch under pressure, who doesn't seek approval, who doesn't shrink to fit in or shout to stand out. She wants to experience what it's like to be close to that calm fire, that quiet storm, that man who has nothing to prove because he already knows his value. You know how to speak without trying too hard. That's the difference. Some men use words like weapons, loud and flashy, hoping to impress or dominate the room. But the man who truly knows the art of conversation uses his voice like a brushstroke, deliberate, smooth, and memorable. When he speaks, there's a rhythm, a calm authority that makes her stop scrolling, stop thinking, stop comparing, because in that moment she feels chosen, not just heard but understood. You don't just speak to be heard. You speak to connect, to reach beneath the surface, to say something real in a world full of empty noise. You ask her questions she's not used to hearing. You bypass the shallow layers and tap into the corners of her mind that she's kept hidden. You're not interested in her favorite color or the last place she vacationed. You're interested in what keeps her up at night, what drives her, what makes her come alive. And because your tone is warm, calm, and genuine, she finds herself opening up without even realizing it. Not because you pushed, but because you listened, deeply, attentively, without interrupting, without waiting for your turn to speak. That kind of listening creates intimacy faster than any physical touch ever could. You understand that conversation is not about showcasing your intelligence. It's about creating a moment where she feels seen. And when a woman feels seen, truly seen, something inside her shifts, her guard lowers. Her energy softens. She begins to associate you with safety, with understanding, with connection. And the more she speaks to you, the more she imagines speaking to you forever, not because you're charming, but because you're present. Fully, unapologetically present, your words carry weight because you don't use them carelessly. You don't speak just to fill silence. You let the silence breathe between sentences. You allow space for emotion, for thought, for energy to build. That pacing is seductive, it's confident, and it tells her you are not afraid of pauses because you understand their power. A well-timed pause can speak louder than a paragraph. It can make her heart race. It can make her lean in. It can make her feel like she's in a moment that matters. And then there's your choice of words. You don't speak in cliches. You're intentional. You use words that paint pictures, evoke emotion, stir curiosity. You speak to her mind, but your words touch her body. They awaken something. They cause her to feel things, not just think about things. You know when to be playful, when to be bold, when to be poetic, and when to be raw. You're fluent in the language of emotion, and you use it with grace. That's rare. That's powerful. You also know when to listen, when to let her voice be the star, when to sit back and take her in, because the man who knows the art of conversation also knows the art of presence. He knows that the best lines are sometimes the ones unspoken. A well-timed look, a nod, a subtle shift in posture can say more than a rehearsed compliment ever could. She reads into your attention. She reads into your energy. And when you speak again, she's hanging on every word, not because of the words themselves, but because of the way you make her feel when you say them. She doesn't remember everything you said, but she remembers how it made her feel. She remembers how easy it was to talk to you, how effortless, how safe. And when a woman feels that kind of emotional connection, she starts to imagine something deeper, something more vulnerable, something physical, because the body always follows the mind. You're not clumsy, you're intentional. That's what sets you apart. Every move you make, every glance you offer, every pause you take, it all speaks a language that doesn't need words. You're aware of your body, your presence, your energy. When you walk into a room, you don't just exist in it, you influence it. Without touching a single thing, you shift the atmosphere. People notice. She notices, because the way you carry yourself tells her everything she needs to know. It says you're in control, not just of the space around you, but of yourself. You're not fidgeting, you're not scattered, you're deliberate, smooth, grounded. It's in the way you reach for your drink, the way you adjust your sleeve, the way your hand brushes lightly against her back. Not by accident, but by design. Every gesture is slow, natural, unforced. It tells her you're fully present, not overthinking, not overreacting. And that presence makes her feel like she's the only woman in the room, not because you said so, but because your body language shows it. She feels it when you lean in slightly, not too close, just enough. When you speak, you don't just use your voice. You use your eyes, your posture, your energy, and that energy wraps around her like a whisper she can't ignore. You're aware of your touch without needing to touch. You let tension build.